Hello, hello. It is day 198 of my 365-day raw suspending disbelief journey. It is November 6th, 2024, and today it's hard to explain. It was heavy, but not heavy. I was prepared for it. I was protecting and clearing my energy a lot. But the US election impacted pretty much every single one of my clients almost. So every call that I was on, every conversation that I was having, people were struggling today. And I wasn't per se, um, but I was needing to hold a lot of energy for others and just hold space for them to process and be supportive as best as I could. And clients on both ends of the political spectrum and all of whom I know are wonderful, incredible people. And I don't want to go into politics on this podcast at all. I have zero interest in that. And I will not say who I think it should be or, any of those kinds of things. Like that's not what I'm here for. Um, but today it was a lot of interaction with clients, most of whom were really, really struggling. And by really, really struggling, I mean everything from almost passing out from feeling the energetic attacks, um, from dissolving into tears multiple times, right? Just really feeling the hatred around them. And most of my clients are very intuitive, very empathic, very um, spiritual women, and they are, they're trying to hold space for others as well, and they're trying to hold energy for others, and they're trying to um, be in a space of love and acceptance for everyone, and for them to be feeling this like hatred coming at them in a general sense, in a just people were so hateful and so angry with anyone from the opposite side of things, right? um, it was pretty rough, and um, I was pretty tired, and things are just um, I mean, like I said, I was proactive. I was prepared for it. I knew that it was going to be a rough day. And I mean, I chose to still show up for it. I prepared myself for it energetically. I, um, put up all my protections, and then I regularly cleared my energy all day so that I could continue to be, just a clear energy, um, available still for people throughout the rest of the day. So anyways, it was rough though. It was rough seeing so many women that I love struggling so hard. Um and and knowing, of course, right, that it's not just them, that it's kind of like the whole world, right? And it just really had me reflecting on all day, just how unnecessary all of it is. And there is so much, um I mean, it was fascinating too. Like my feed on Facebook had nothing about it. Nothing. Not one thing. Because I have curated my feed. I have canceled, unfollowed, blocked, deleted, like everything for so long now that that's just been my habit. So whenever I see anything that triggers me in that way, or that really just lowers my vibration and makes me miserable, and there's no real good purpose to it, it's one thing to see something sad that is important and that you can maybe do something about, but it's another to just see misery and hatred and this awful, awful bullshit. And I really have changed my entire experience on Facebook, where I don't see any of that anymore. All I was seeing was this overabundance of loving energy, where people were like, I am adding to the love on this day, not the hate, and things like that. And it was, to me, inspiring to see. And yet everybody else that I was talking to, their experience was very different. So of course, then there's me going like, hey, you guys, like, start curating your feed, start blocking people, start unfollowing people who are, really spiteful and hateful during these times. Like, even if, normally they're fine and you don't want to not be their friend just because they have a different belief system than you, if the way that they're going about this is really hateful and awful, then is that really someone that you want to be friends with? And if so, maybe just not right now. You can hit unfollow. And I don't know why people hesitate to do this when their feed brings them so much misery, but I can say that mine brings me joy. I go on Facebook and it's joyful and it's uplifting and I don't see any of that crap. And that is because I have chosen deliberately. And so, if you're experiencing that, do it, unfollow, unfriend, block, like anything, whatever level that you need to. First of all, no one will ever know if you unfollow them. That is like, it's completely private. It doesn't tell them anything. It doesn't notify them. And second of all, it will give you peace of mind and allow you to just be present and enjoy your day. And there's no reason for social media to be a place that brings you down. It's supposed to be social, building friendships, connecting with people that we love, all of that, right? And even for those of you like me who use Facebook for business, we're doing that in an uplifting way. We're not doing that in, like, we don't want to bring anybody down or, you know, put anyone in a bad mood, like nothing. It's just, that is not the point of social media. So if that's not your experience, if you're not having fun there, if you're not loving what you're seeing and being inspired by what you're seeing and all of that, like, there's a reason for that. This is what algorithms are for, is to allow you to train it to be what you want it to be, for the right people to be seeing what you want them to see, and vice versa. And the same goes on any platform, because I can do the same on YouTube. I can do the same on anywhere, right? If I have people who send me reels all the time. They send me like just things that make them laugh or whatever. And I don't watch a lot of reels, and I choose not to watch a lot of reels, and I don't click on all of their reels because it then curates my feed, and I don't necessarily want whatever it is that they're sending me to be something that pops up in my feed. So I'm really careful about who I click on reels from. I'm careful about which ones they are. Um, if someone starts sending me a bunch that really are not what I like, then I stop clicking on reels from that person. And it just is what it is. They're boundaries, right? It's, um, as much as I love something funny as much as the next person, I still choose not to just sort of clog up my vibration and my focus with a ton of reels, or with just goofy stuff. Like, I love goofy stuff, but here and there, not all the time, and, things like that. So it's the same thing, whether it's election bullshit and stress and hatred and just nastiness, or whether it's goofy stuff, or whether it's just like sort of wasting your time stuff, which it's okay to waste our time sometimes. It's okay to just sort of twiddle our thumbs or goof off, or, just sit watching reels every now and then. But usually the ones that we would see based on our regular interactions are going to be different than what somebody else would send to us, and it will change your feed. So, like, be conscious of that, and um it's an ongoing thing. It's a continual thing to be curating your feed to be what you want it to be. It's something that, every single time that something pops up that you're like, ugh, why did I see that? That you do something about it, that you click, I don't want to see this. And that, from ads to people that you follow to everything, like, unfollow groups that you don't want to be seeing, leave groups that you don't want to be a part of, unfollow friends, unfriend people if they're really not your friends and they're not uplifting you in your life, and block people who are really, really nasty, because there's no reason to be in contact with them. And I say this from a place of, I have blocked family. Okay, so there are people who deserve to be in your energy and people who do not. And if they do not, then don't let them be. End of story. And it is that simple. It always is that simple. And I've had very complex situations, so I do know what I'm talking about. And every single time when it really came down to it, it was me getting super honest and it was that simple. So if you want to have a different experience in your day-to-day life, especially if you spend a lot of time on Facebook, if you work on Facebook like I do, you have to be conscious of this unless you want to be miserable all the time. So um, maybe getting off of my my podium here, but like it was heartbreaking to me listening to this, and I was just like, how are you guys not curating what you're seeing? How are you not shifting this? And of course, we can't block it completely. We still see, in other areas in the media, we still, I'm sure in the States right now, walking in stores and um, up and down the street, like there's probably stuff everywhere, just with constant reminders and people, the stories that I hear, like people are being awful, right? But we can choose in some areas, and where you can choose, then you should. And it is very much, we're controlling the vibration that we're allowing to be coming towards us in that sense. So I highly recommend it. And again, I don't want to go down any political tirade or anything like that. It was really heartbreaking today to hear all of these women suffering so deeply and so stressed and so worried and scared. They were almost across the board terrified. Um, and again, no matter which side of the voting that they were on, they were terrified. So that's a really sad state of affairs. And I know and believe, and I'm suspending disbelief, that we as a human race can do better. This is not acceptable. And I'm going to do everything in my power at any point that I can to prevent it from being like that. So there is my rant, my tirade, my um, my insights for the day. It's just, and I posted about it just saying like, these are the options. So here's the thing. I had all of that when it came to work, to the women that I was working with. And I chose that. I could have said like, you know what? I'm offline for the day. Too much nastiness going on. I could have done that. Nobody would have thought the less of me or anything like that. But I was prepared for it. Like I said, I was very on top of my energy. I was okay. But the beautiful thing was watching how my life and my day played out versus what I was seeing from everyone else. And that was my son and my daughter, my two youngest. While I was on a call, they were watching a show. We've got multiple spots they could be seated in our living room, and they chose to sit on the same chair and cuddle up together and watch a show. Just so much love, right? My oldest volunteered at school. There was no one else. None of even the people who said they were going to showed up to actually volunteer and help for uh, a fundraiser thing that they were doing at the school. And she offered, she stayed. She was the only student there, and it wasn't even a program that she's a part of. And she chose to do that. What I'm witnessing is what I've created in my own life. And it is in yours too, even if that sucks to hear. And that is that is the message that I really want people to understand today, is that if you're seeing hatred and whatever constantly all day long, it's one thing to have it be a blip. Someone somehow blips into your field of consciousness, right? But if it is constant all day long, you have chosen that. And you may have chosen that simply by not choosing, right? So sometimes we're actively choosing and sometimes we are allowing. And a lot of the time, if it's negative shit like that, it is because we're allowing, not because we're actively choosing it. And this is where people get really defensive, where it's like, I would never call that in for myself, but you did. If it's there, you did, right? So, and of course, I'm not American, so it's not impacting me as directly, but I don't think anyone can argue that the American election affects the entire planet. Um, it affects us all, right? So it's a big deal. And yet, my day was filled with, as much as I was holding space for these people, for these women, it was also filled with beautiful connection, healing tears, healing energy being sent, So much love on both sides of every conversation. Seeing my children being so loving to each other and outwardly into the world and willing to serve and be kind to others, even when it's not to their benefit at all. And it was such a stark contrast for me that number one, I mean, I'm proud of myself for what I've created in my life, but number two, it broke my heart that other people aren't choosing that. So it really just gave me this clarity. Like, we get to choose, we get to create what we want in our lives, and you can too. And there's no reason why not. There's no excuse why not. And if you're making excuses, then it's still on you. And I say it with so much love, but radical responsibility is huge for me. Like, take the responsibility for your life, because when you do, you get to have days like I had instead of days like these other women were having. And it's just it's such a drastic contrast. So anyways, I'm going to get off my high horse. I'm going to stop with my tirade. I am sending so much love to everyone who's listening to this, and to just everyone in general. We all need it right now. And that's really the only solution to any of this, because no candidate was going to fix this world, or even just the United States. Not one of them was going to do it. The only thing that's going to change it is turning to love instead of hate. So I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for listening today. Thank you for following along on this podcast. That is what I have for you today, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.